I'm very excited to share that this season I've partnered with one of my new favourite brands, Current Body. You may have seen Current Body's LED light therapy masks on social media or in the leading fashion magazine's list of game changers for skin, and with good reason. It is 31% more powerful than other LED masks and has been proven to reduce wrinkles by 24% in just 4 weeks, as well as helping even skin tone, reduce redness, and minimise the appearance of pores. I couldn't believe it either, but this is why it works. The masks uses clinically proven wavelengths, red and near infrared. The red light waves accelerate collagen production within the skin, whilst near infrared wavelengths boost blood circulation, leaving the skin glowing, plump and youthful. You only need to pop it on for 10 minutes, at least 3 to 5 times a week. It is 100% safe, pain-free and hands-free, so you can sit back and watch some telly. Or my guilty secret is I use it as an excuse for a little meditation whilst letting my mask do its job. So if you're ready to invest in your skin's future, head to the link in my Instagram bio and use my discount code StyleDNA for 15% off. Your skin will thank you too. Today, I'm going on a style journey with 90s supermodel turned entrepreneur, TV personality, author and pub landlady, the awesome Jodie Kidd.
Oh, that's a lovely intro.
Hello and welcome, Jodie.
How are you?
I'm great. It's lovely to have you here today.
Oh, it's so beautiful. This view, oh my goodness, it's gorgeous.
It's a bit addictive, this view.
I
we
bet.
were watching our friendly seal yesterday.
You've got a seal.
We've got a seal.
Wow.
He's like a little Labrador whose head
surprised
just comes up.
Anything survives in the Thames, to be honest.
I am too. I mean, I looked at it yesterday and I thought, God, mate, rather you than me.
Yeah, go on, get east, hurry up.
Exactly. Just get out to sea. We first met back in the 90s, sort of mid-90s. I think it was probably your first show season.
Yes.
And I remember my casting director being so excited that you were coming in for a fitting and me panicking, thinking, but I've only got shoes up to a size 41.
I know, that was the worst thing.
Yeah.
I had to literally squeeze in because I'm size 42 and a half.
I remember that and remember feeling so guilty because I had these sort of python skin, not platform, court shoes. Yeah. And they were tight. They were a tight 41. And I felt so bad because you were there scrunching your feet and being so brave.
I mean, everyone thought I was kind of moody walking down the catwalk, but it wasn't. I was actually going, ow, ow, because every time I walked, I never had shoes that fit me.
Oh, my God. I mean, your modelling trajectory just went into vertical takeoff.
Very quick.
Yeah. How was that? Because you were a child. I was about to say you were a kid.
Yeah, I was a kid.
You were a kid. But you were young.
Yeah. I mean, 15, I first got spotted by Terry O'Neill. And Terry, at the time, was dating the wonderful Lorraine Ashton, who was, that was the head of IMG Models. And she actually had she knew my mum quite well. So I was in this interim period of just finished GCSEs, was about to start university, which I had just finished school with no GCSEs. I literally got one, which was C in art. And I knew going to university and college was just not going to be my kind of area. And so I wanted to ride horses because my family are massive kind of horse riders, and my dad was on the British team for show jumping, and my brother was a polo player, and Gemma, my sister, was on the British team for dressage. So my whole life was I was going to be in horses. And so I had just transitioning from juniors to seniors, which happens 15 to 16. And I just bought my first show jumper because that's what I wanted to do.
Which is not cheap.
It's not cheap, but I was buying them very, very young. So I was buying them for $1,000, and then I would make the horse, take it up through the grades, and then I would sell it. So I was like being a little business person, even with ponies. So I bought this youngster, this my first horse, and I had a little pony trailer, and every time I got to a show, he was rubbing his tail and would come out and his tail would just be like this.
A frizz.
Yeah, it was a frizz. And so I needed to get a bigger lorry because it was a pony trailer. So, and didn't have enough money to get one. So Mum said, well, you should try modelling. You can earn some money in modelling. And I thought, well, I'll just give it a go. And I literally came up to London, probably quite close to my 16th birthday, went to see Lorraine, had some test shots done in IMG at Jacobswell Mews, I've got to remember that, with all the bookers around the table.
And would those have been Polaroids at the time?
It was, do you know what? It probably was Polaroids. I don't know if they took proper film as well, but certainly they had Polaroids. And all the bookers were there. And I remember Jonathan Pang, who then later became my agent. He was there and he was going, oh, she's quite quirky. She's kind of quite now, because we were just kind of coming out of the supermodel era from your Kates and Naomi's and Helena's and Kate Moss was coming. So this kind of London quirky, androgynous kind of look was coming through. And I kind of ticked all those boxes. And I went back up to Gloucestershire, because that was where we were living at the time. And I think the next day I was called back into London and they said, all these photographers want to see you. And I came back down into London and it was like a whirlwind from after that.
How did that feel, though? Because you'd come from being a country girl.
Yeah, very much so.
And a Caribbean girl.
Yeah.
So all lovely nature all around you, suddenly into this mayhem of the fashion world.
I mean, I was 15, 16, and I had just spent my whole life kind of like, on a farm, surrounded with manure heaps and hay bales and kind of things like that, and in jeans and no dresses whatsoever, real tomboy. And it was just the most exciting thing, that London, big city, there was such a buzz in the mid-90s around London, it was a really fun time, from music to fashion to everything. It was really energetic. And so for a 16-year-old, it was like, yes, amazing.
But did it feel intimidating at all in the fashion stakes?
For me, no. I think what really helped was that I was the youngest of 5. So I was always much older kind of mentally than let's say, an only child of 15 or a oldest child of a family. So I was automatically, my sister's 4 years older, my brother's 5 years older, and then my other half brothers and sisters are good 10, 15 years older. So I was always surrounded by a lot older people. So for me, it wasn't really intimidating. It wasn't like I grew up wanting to be a model and this was going to be my life, and I'd been buying Vogue magazines and staring at pictures and having these dreams and aspirations of wanting to be a model. So for me, I was just like, I'm a bit cocky and a bit kind of like, well, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm going to go back to my horses.
And did you ever feel intimidated by the fashion side of things? Because you'd grown up in jeans and T-shirts and, sweatshirts probably, or breeches.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of holes and rips. And
and then suddenly you're talking directly to designers, casting agents, photographers. Were you ever sort of worried about what you'd put on in the morning to go and meet those people?
I think, ignorance was bliss, really. And because I didn't understand the industry, I think I'd be more nervous now if I was flying into, to Paris to sit in front of Karl Lagerfeld and the best of the best, which I was just kind of like turning up and going, hey, kind of thing. Now I'd probably be more nervous because I understand the kind of the gravitas of it. Whereas then I was just totally kind of ignorant to it, and I was just going where I was being told to go and just kind of wearing whatever I was wearing. And so I definitely didn't understand the level that I was going into. I just thought, oh, that's normal. So I wasn't too kind of like, I wasn't like a deer in headlights at all. I just kind of rode this wave, which was unbelievable. And it was quite lovely wearing these incredible outfits and beautiful. It was kind of like so foreign to me that it
Proper
was
Cinderella moment.
Oh my God, it was just awesome. You know, it really was. But because I just didn't have any expectations. So I just kind of went in.
And I mean, at 15, did someone teach you how to walk down a catwalk, work with a camera, photographer? You know, who mentored you on that journey?
I think the one thing that really worked for me quite quickly was that I had, you know, I was quite photogenic, which it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult to teach. I kind of just had that side. But when I did London was my first catwalk season. And then I got asked to go out to New York, and New York was suddenly it kind of, you know, the bar was raised, and I think I was asked to do Bagley Mushka, and I was asked to, you know, open, oh gosh, I can't remember the name. Anyway, Amazing Holston, I think it was. It was, you know, really important. And so IMG in New York said, look, we'll just give you some walking lessons. And another thing, I've got to this point in my life where I can't really remember anyone's name, so I can't apologise enough. But I got the most amazing teacher that came along to the hotel, and I remember him putting me in the corridor of the hotel, and he put books on my head, and he said, right, keep your head really still. And then we were trying to get the Naomi walk going with the hips sashaying, and
because you did develop a fantastic strut,
a kind of elongated stomp.
Beautiful.
So it was very much him, and I'm trying to. I'll suddenly shout it out in a minute, halfway through another question.
And were you in heels doing this?
Always. Which, of course, you know, when you're in heels, it really, you know, it pushes your hips forward, it pushes your shoulders back, and it creates a really beautiful kind of silhouette. So heels became, you know, quite strong in that persona. And of course, I'm 6'2" anyway, so I was just like 6'6". So I was just, you know, that was me.
Did you keep all your tear sheets?
No, terrible. Haven't got a book. They all went into kind of storage, and then the squirrels got in them and then made nests. I mean, it's now, I'm kind of, thankfully for the internet, you can kind of start finding them again.
Repiecing the picture.
I mean, it was dreadful. I found one of my old books, and I kind of opened it up, and it was like,
oh no, I know, I've done that before, and the photo just gets absolutely ripped to shreds.
Which I know, and now I've got a son who's 12 called Indy. He's kind of like, Mum, why didn't you look after things? But it was just this kind of, just a bit blasé and a bit young, and just didn't really appreciate it at the time.
And then what was the catalyst for you to say, enough?
Anxiety. Definitely. I went through a whole period of really negative press, and
because of your weight, I seem to remember.
Yes. And it kind of, because I was riding horses every day, and I'm 6'2", and I'm long and quite skinny anyway, and then going from a very sporty childhood, representing the county in every single sport, you know, I wanted to be on the Olympic team. I was like, that's all I did was sport, and then suddenly came into modelling and just dropped all sport, dropped kind of eating well. Eating well, I think, is so important. And, you know, in the 90s, when you're literally doing 10 shows a day, I was going from airports to cars to shoots to catwalks and you didn't have access to good food. You literally had McDonald's.
It was sort of pre-pret-a-manger.
Exactly. You couldn't get a salad to go. You either had to go to a restaurant, or you had to. It was, you know, there was nothing good on the go. So, you know, I was literally a packet of crisps, a sandwich from a gas station, and a Coca-Cola, and that was your diet. And so I think after years and years of that, after living in the countryside, growing your own veg, really being healthy, doing a lot of sport, to zero gymming. You didn't do gyms. Didn't have time, you know, and just exhausted when you came in at 2:00 in the morning from a shoot. You just collapse, and then you're up at 6, and so no gym, eating really badly, and then started getting negative press, then started getting a bit anxious about it, and then kind of went in this downward spiral of not understanding what anxiety was. Because you would sit there, you're in this fight or flight, you're flooded with adrenaline, then the last thing you want to do is sit down and eat, because
you're too hyper.
You've got adrenaline. You don't. I mean, it's just you're not hungry. And then this was just becoming just more and more and more, and I was getting more anxiety, and then I wasn't eating, and then suddenly I got very skinny. Then the whole world was against me, and I'd literally, fashion-y kind of, I remember coming back to the UK and I switched on the TV, and I think it was Kilroy or something, it wasn't Jeremy Kyle in those days, Kilroy, and I remember going, oh, look, I know, oh, there's a photographer I know, and there's a stylist, and then the whole show was about me and what a terrible role model I was, and
oh, for goodness sake.
And then I had a woman came up to me in a supermarket, and she said, my daughter, you've almost killed my daughter, you know, you are the worst role model. And I was just so protected by the agency that didn't want to let me know kind of that I was literally on the front page of every newspaper with Kate and this heroin chic and this kind of, you know, very negative kind of energy towards the modelling industry, and that I was kind of at the head of it all. And so, yeah, it was a bit of a shock. And then that just perpetuated this negativity and this darkness. And I just went, I can't do this anymore. And I got to, I flew out to Milan to do a catwalk show. And I walked halfway down the catwalk, and everyone was staring at me. And I just had a massive panic attack. I turned around. I didn't even go to the end of the catwalk. I went straight back, took off all my clothes, put my home clothes, went straight to the airport. And I took me 20 years to walk another catwalk. I just stopped everything, moved back out to the country.
And what age were you then?
About 22, probably 21, 22.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I was really intensive fashion, because I was doing lots of all the couture, all the pret-a-porters, so non-stop. You know, you would have probably a month off, or maybe 2 months off between each fashion catwalk or what do you call them? I'm going pret-a-manger now. Pret-a-porter.
The shows,
the spring, summer, autumn, winter, and then doing the couture in between. And so, you know, it was pretty brutal. And I just went, can't do this, can't do it anymore.
And so went to the country and reprogrammed yourself.
Reprogrammed, grew veg, started riding horses again.
Yeah. And
I needed to get fit and healthy. And we were at the time, you know, still early 2000s, we weren't so aware of what anxiety was. We weren't so aware of wellness. We weren't being nice to our body. It was all, you know, it was all kind of parties and fun and champagne and, you know, not eating well, no exercise. And it's, you know, and it's now we're kind of looking back and going, oh my God, that's so important for this incredible thing that we've been given, which is our body. And, you know, you've got to take care of it. So it took a while. I moved out to Wiltshire again, stopped. I was doing the odd photo shoot still. I was still doing the odd campaign, but I just didn't want to walk down a catwalk. I started getting into horses again. The only horses that I had access to, because I had to unfortunately sell my horse when I was much younger, so was my brother had polo ponies. So I started exercising his polo ponies, and then he was like, well, come and watch me play a game. And I was like, oh, okay. Turned up, and he said, look, try with a polo stick. And I was like, oh my God, it's amazing, it's so much fun. And then I think, you know, through him kind of pushing me to play a bit of polo, doing a few chukkers, you know, and it's an amazing fitness thing to be able to do. You know, you really work your body hard, but it's also incredible adrenaline, incredibly fun. And then I think within about 6 months of me kind of riding again and doing exercise and eating well and looking after myself, I was like going, I love this. And I think within another year, I was representing England. I just won the Women's World Championships. This was all playing polo, because when I do something, I kind of like totally immerse myself. And I had 22 polo ponies. I was like completely obsessed.
But it must have felt amazing to feel strong again.
Yeah, It was. And also to just get, I mean, if you've had anxiety, it really is, you think you're going to die, you know.
Very all-consuming, isn't it?
It's, you couldn't leave the front door. You didn't know when you were about to get an attack. You really do think you're going to die. I mean, I went to doctors and I was like, I don't know what's happening. I've got insomnia. My palms will go sweaty. My heart will go, and I just got to get out of there. You know, I've just got to, I literally run out of places and just have to go and like get fresh air and breathe. And I was like, what do I do? What's going on? And doctors were like, oh, breathe into a brown bag. I think one doctor put me on beta blockers. And then I was just like, oh, I really don't feel well now. I was like, but I could sleep, but forever, literally. But yeah, so I was like, we didn't have the World Wide Web. We didn't have social media. We didn't have things that you could go, what's happening? Is anyone else going through this? I felt incredibly isolated and alone, and thought I was the only person in the world going through it, and at any moment I was going to die. And then suddenly kind of getting back into fitness and strength, and then that kind of horrible little gland that loves to excrete that adrenaline was getting less and less and less and less, and suddenly
up on the polo pitch.
Yeah, and it kind of then suddenly it's like, oh, just the weight of the world lifts off your shoulders. I'd never really been into cars, but cars was my next kind of thing, and no, I actually think I'd done the Gumballs. So I was in New York and I was with a friend of mine, and she said, I'm going to do something called the Gumball Rally. And I was quite aware of it because I had some friends that were doing it. And it's kind of like cars going on a really massive car rally. And it was quite cool. And no one was really doing it at the time, and beautiful cars. And they said they're going from New York to I think it was LA.
Yeah.
And would you like to come with us? And I was like, God, it would be brilliant. I haven't actually been across the whole of the States yet. What a lovely way to get to see it. So I kind of sat in the back and just enjoyed this rally, this car journey. And it was amazing. Some bonkers cars. I mean, it was the first time I got introduced to the car manufacturer called Koenigsegg. And they had this car that did 242 miles an hour. And I was obviously kind of like, I love design, I think, from my fashion background. And so some of these cars were just utterly beautiful. And then to be able to do these speeds and all these wonderful antics and naughtiness that was going on, donuts. And I was like, wow. And I had to come back to the UK after I landed in LA to give an award at the GQ Man of the Year Awards, and I sat on a table next to Jeremy Clarkson, and I was like, you're the car man. I have just done this bonkers rally and Koenigsegg's and 240 miles an hour and blah, 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 F50s and 40s. And he said, well, why don't you come on my show? There's not many women that have come on my show, and we do this kind of star in a reasonably priced car. And I didn't think anything of it. To be honest, Top Gear wasn't really what I watched
on
a
your
lot.
Radar.
No, I had no idea what was going on. And then I got a call, about 5 months after that. And they said, would you come on Top Gear? And I was like, okay, what do I do? And they said, well, you just come and have a chat with Jeremy and, you know, get you to go around in the car. And that was it. So I turned up and went round with the Stig, and then they put you in the car, and I did about 3 laps, and they were like, can you get out the car now? And I was like, no, I really think at that top corner, I braked too early. I think that, and they were like, no, you've got to get out. And so, but I didn't realise by the second lap, I'd gone straight to the top. And by the third lap, I'd beaten everyone by half a second. And they were like, okay, let's get her out of the car. So anyway, so then I went to the top, and I was like, and the Stig at the time, who was called Perry McCarthy, unfortunately not Michael Schumacher that everyone thought was the Stig, said, look, you're quite talented. You should do this. You know, it could be quite fun for you. So I quietly went off and got my ARDs, got my racing license, and then didn't really think much of it. Still riding and playing polo at the time. and we had a sponsor for our ladies team that was Maserati, because I was playing in Windsor and they had a Ferrari Maserati garage in Egham. And so they were sponsoring our team. And then I was going, well, I started racing. And then they said, come over to Italy. Let's see how good you really are. And I did this advanced driving course with an F1 driver out there. And they said, you're pretty good. Would you come and race for us?
Wow.
And then ended up racing for Maserati for about 3 years in Italy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
God, what a journey.
It's all a bit mad.
And now a pub.
Now I own a pub, yes. Yes.
When did you buy that?
It was, so I obviously moved out to the country, never came back to the cities, even though I love it. And my goodness, I'll move here in a flash. It's stunning. But I just noticed all our beautiful little villages and the pubs within the village, which is so important, that I was brought up going to. They were all turned into houses. And that I didn't realise how tragic the pub industry was, and that how hard it is. And I wish I'd actually known that before the next say this thing. So our local pub was up for sale. I heard developers were interested to turn it into housing, and I said we must save it. And two of my friends were actually en route to Goodwood, because I live in Sussex, and to go and race cars. And they said, let's stop and meet up. Let's have a coffee. And we went to Chris Evans' pub, who was very close to us. And they were sitting there going, God, I'd love to own my own pub. And I said, well, that's funny enough. There's a pub that's next door to me that's up for sale. It's beautiful. It's the most beautiful, quintessential, lovely Sussex pub. I mean, it just ticks every single box. And so I said, do you want to have a look? And so we drove round and they had a look round and they said, right, we love it. Shall we get it? We'll finance. You put your name to it. You run it. You do everything and we'll support you. And I was like, oh, yeah, brilliant. Let's do it. Let's do it. And then next thing I know, they phoned up and they said, right, we've got it. Off you go. And I was like, where do I get a keg of beer from? Do I go to Tesco's? Do I go to St. Where do you... I have no idea. God. And I didn't want to be another celebrity kind of pub owner. I really wanted to understand the industry. So I literally went from pot wash to being on the pass, learning how to cook, polishing glasses, doing cocktails, changing barrels. I wanted to really understand the industry.
Are you still being called a lot to model?
Not massively. I think everyone thinks that I'd love to. I came out and Katie Grand did a show for Tommy Hilfiger a couple of years ago, so I came and did that. Maybe, I don't know. I'll wait. I'll wait till the right thing, because I love it. It's in my heart and soul.
Well, it's so ingrained in you now,
yeah, exactly.
Today we're here to talk about style. Yes. Your style.
Oh my goodness. It's very short, short.
No, not very long. But tell me, were you very aware of your mother's style growing up?
Mum was super cool, and my grandmother was super cool. And the worst thing, I remember when she passed away when I was 10, and she had the most fabulous clothes. She was she was the daughter of Lord Beaverbrook and was always going to these wonderful events and had outfits to match. And, when we go back through the albums and I'm going, oh, look at that original Yves Saint Laurent, whatever, just stunning Lanvin suits and dresses and, all went. So annoying. Mum was amazingly stylish. She had some beautiful clothes, but also we're not very good as a family of keeping things. It's really sad. They all get moved on.
But it sounds like you just move on and you don't dwell in the past. You're on to the next project.
Absolutely. But practical. I've always been very practical with my clothes. And it is because I feel that I've always had this kind of source of getting dressed up and wearing the most beautiful clothes. So I kind of get that fix. And then when I'm back home and I've got chickens to go and feed and horses and, I kind of want to be, you don't want to walk around in your Poochie outfits, even though that would be wonderful, but...
Wonderful, but not.
But not.
But do you remember the moment that clothes first made an impact on how you felt?
Gosh, as soon as I probably walked my first catwalk, you know, that was something that you really, as a vessel, you had to translate what that outfit was making you feel down the catwalk. So whether it was, you know, kind of super comfy, you kind of had to make those movements down the catwalk, whether you're John Galliano or you had this amazing ability to just, you felt so comfortable, but yet incredibly chic, and the fabrics that you used, and that you know, I never walked the same catwalk twice. Everything, whether it was the music, what you were wearing, the environment, they always had a slightly different swagger or a slightly different move. So, you know, the moment that the music gets going and you get pushed and you go out and you're being put into your outfit, that just makes you go boom. You know, it's
And do you remember being briefed backstage pre-show as to the mood?
Oh my God,
the woman you were.
Absolutely. And that was quite strong. And that's why I loved working and doing London Fashion Week, because it was so much more fluid and so much more expressionative. Is that the right word? It was, you know, we had Alexander McQueen, we had John Galliano, we had this sense of freedom, and you know, it was so much fun to do catwalks here. You could just be yourself. Whereas I found in kind of Milan and New York, it was much more of a just turn around, walk down, walk down. You know, they were just cash cowing.
Yes, whereas London was very expressive, wasn't it?
Really expressive and really kind of, you know, it was like we were being artists. We were being part of this show that should have been, you know, especially doing Galliano or McQueen.
I was going to say, you did McQueen a few times, didn't you? A lot.
Yeah.
Is there one specific moment in any particular show that really stood out to you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll never forget the first time he asked me to open his first show in the House of Givenchy, which was a really big thing. And I had obviously been doing Givenchy for many years before. And when Lee came in, and with all these incredible seamstresses, and, you know, the way that the process worked when you're in a Paris very large fashion house was a lot different from East London. And I think must have been one of the first fittings he had, and these wonderful old ladies that had been, you know, working their magic for months and months and months on these materials, and he would just come in with these scissors and just go and their faces were like you know, was quite dramatic, and it was incredible because they finally understood this. You know, it was a big thing for him to come and take over the house, and was quite controversial.
And he was such a maverick in an era sort of before the mavericks were really going into the couture houses.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, to be part of that, to open that first show, that first couture, it was a couture show, I think. Yeah. And yeah, he made my waist go to about 16. I think Mr. Pearl was there. And he
doing those incredible corsets.
Yes. And so you like, he always backstage, he was so like animated, and he was like, had this energy, which was just, I mean, totally the opposite to doing one of your shows, which was also beautiful and serene and just gorgeous and calm, candles and he was like, so, and then I'm going opening it, and then I'm like waist and everything is just like Kim Kardashian at the Met Gala. It was just like, I couldn't breathe. It was so intense. And then he put this ginormous pineapple thing on my head. It was just amazing. And this gorgeous kind of satin, I think it was satin white coat with this gold embroidery. It was unbelievable experience and it was such an honor that I will take away forever in my heart.
Did you get given loads of exquisite clothes?
No, but I mean, as you know, that a lot. There's only one outfit that then gets, as soon as it comes off the catwalk, it then goes to American Vogue, it then goes to British Vogue, it then goes to Spanish Marie Claire, then it just literally the air miles of that one outfit is quite scary. But yeah, so no, the only thing we could get was the shoes. So I've got an amazing set, more than one set of shoes, because I obviously had the size 42. Ones. So eventually, after everyone knew that I was doing the show and they wanted me to be part, they started making 42s, and then they were like, well, there's no point us sending them on with the outfits, so you can go on, you can have them. Oh, so I've got wonderful. Some lovely
And did you
shoes.
keep all of those?
Yes, they've been worn to death though.
Oh, fantastic.
But yeah, shoes are the one thing that we managed to take away. I think Naomi was different though. Naomi definitely walked off with a few outfits. No one would dare stop her.
So when do you think during that time you really discovered who you were, what your style DNA was?
I was very into kind of dance music and, used to go to all these wonderful kind of trancey parties. So I was really into fluoro and and I remember when Karl Lagerfeld started putting more fluorescence and kind of fractal patterns in his shows. And I was going, oh, I know where that's come from. So I was very different. I loved bright kind of clothes. It was very much of that kind of acid house kind of movement because, I loved that music at that period of time. So my style was not the best. It kind of got better in the 2000s, but it was all a bit kind of wacky and hippie. But that was all kind of that time, isn't it?
That
in
time
the 90s.
And your age.
Yeah.
And you worked very closely with Karl, didn't you?
Very close.
Can you explain what that process was like?
Yes. I mean, he put me on exclusivity for years. Wow. So I could only really do Chanel or work for... I mean, he was amazing. So he would just have me in the house. And he used to love just taking pictures. He used to love doing all his own campaigns. And he was doing Fendi, Chloe, Chanel, Karl Lagerfeld, and there was another one he was doing, the biggest fashion houses. Yeah. And so he would just sit all day whilst you were having lunch, while you were talking, while you were getting ready, and just sketch. And it was just the most amazing thing to just see. And he literally would just be talking to you and sketch.
Did
outfit
he ever
43.
Ask your opinion on
No,
things?
but he would watch everything. He would look and watch everything. So I remember when he used to know that I went to the Caribbean a lot, and I remember one of the campaigns he was like, right, I want you in dreadlocks. I want you, and he had lots of red and gold and green in that campaign, and I had wonderful dreadlocks that Odile Gilbert did, and Stéphane Marais did the makeup, and so it was, he watched and he took things from people around him a lot.
Yes, I've heard that before. And were you doing endless fittings with him too?
No, I think he got to know my body quite well. And the house did. We would turn up, and he would know that. He would almost design. So he would design the Kate dress. He would design. So you got to, because I think in that period between the towards the end of the 90s and 2000s, the models were really kind of almost the star, whereas, I think it's a bit different now. So they were almost designing the clothes for that model, so it was, when Shalom would come out, it would be totally, because she was such a ballerina, that it would all have those wonderful angles to work with that she was so good at working. And so I think a lot of the dresses were eventually were made for us.
And are you very protective of your clothes? Are you super organised in your wardrobe?
Terrible. They're all in a trunk, and I pull them out and I go, well, for so many years I couldn't fit into them because I was either too muscly or too big or too, and I was small in those days. So I kind of, I really wish I could wear them, but I just need to go and get them changed.
How would you want your style DNA to be described in 3 words?
Comfortable, chic, I wouldn't even say glamorous, really. I'm not very glamorous. I'm just, gosh, this is really difficult.
Understated?
Understated. That's a perfect word.
There
we go.
I think it is.
Yeah.
And when you're in your trackies at home,
yes,
any particular brands that you love?
Yes, my brand.
Oh, tell me, what's your brand?
Minerva. So we do. It's a sustainable kind of leisure wear brand. So lots of kind of hoodies. I'm doing a collaboration with Leah Wood at the moment. So she does these beautiful. She's an amazing artist, like her dad Ronnie, and so she's done this beautiful artwork, and we've embroidered it onto jumpers and hoodies and t-shirts. But it's all, so we use a lot of offcuts from factories. We all natural dyes. Yeah.
And distribute it
all through here. So we're just TK Maxx at the moment. They've just got a lovely big order online. It's all very new. It's only been going about 3 years. So I'm letting it just bubble up quietly. But we want to white label a lot. We want to
and so using this dead stock principle.
And then if Goodwood want to do their embroidery in their Goodwood logo, then they'll use our products, and our products are all totally, it's organic cotton. It's all, trying to tick as many boxes for looking after the environment.
Now, out of interest, what thread are you using?
It's quite heavy.
But
it's a heavy thread.
Is it a polyester?
No.
So
it's an organic cotton.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, there's no any man-made fibre in it at all, or fabrics.
Bravo to you. That's brilliant, because I think, so many people don't fully understand that actually it might be an organic cotton t-shirt, but it's got sewn with polyester thread, that ain't decomposing in landfill.
No, we're very much trying to stop that. Yeah.
And where did the name come from?
It means breath of fresh air.
Oh, how lovely.
Yeah. I just want to leave, a nice little legacy of what a wonderful planet, and that's what I've done with India's and food, all the food, and the skincare company I haven't talked about. But it's all just trying to do organic, clean, trying to look after our beautiful planet, and created these little companies that very much tick those boxes. Like my skincare company is all really clean beauty. It's using...
And what's that called?
It's called Skin and Tonic.
Of course.
Skin and Tonic.
How did that name come up?
I know, I wonder. So we're using just all organic ingredients. And I found that especially when I got to my 40s, I can't use these strong products anymore. I'm just getting more reactive. So I just needed to find something that was really clean and very, just very good quality ingredients. So with Skin and Tonic, it's all organic, it's all clean beauty, it's, very sustainably sourced, and it's, but really wonderfully active ingredients.
Are you very organised about planning your looks in advance, or are you a mood dresser?
I am terrible. I wake up in the morning and I basically grab the nearest thing.
But that's not terrible.
It's very lazy. Yeah.
Let's talk about travel. As a well-known face, you're probably going to get papped going through an airport. Are you very conscious of your airport look?
Yes, airports. I'm conscious about. So I will wear like a Minerva lovely, beautiful matching hoodie, but I'll put a beautiful Max Mara coat on, or something that you can just throw on and looks great. And a big pair of shades. But I'm finding comfort has always been so key through anything that I wear or kind of just yearn for. But the thing is that kind of leisure wear is becoming a lot more kind of cooler, and you can kind of get away with big baggy pants and just getting a big jacket and putting it over, and it's you can get away with tees and things like that. So I think that casual look, you just need to throw on something over the top, beautiful scarf, just wrap it around lovely. And
shades? Any
shades.
particular brands that you love?
I really love Taylor and Morris, and they're based up in kind of Ladbroke Grove area.
And you're really into your Brit brands,
British,
aren't you?
yes. I really, really love them, and I think we need to support each other like mad.
Yeah.
And when you were designing, that's all I ever wore because you were just the most fabulous, and I treasure all your coats and trousers and beautiful dresses.
Oh, bless you.
Yes.
Now, are you a good packer or a bad packer?
Very good going, terrible coming back.
In other words, it gets thrown in coming back.
Yes.
Favourite luggage?
I've got a lovely Globetrotter case that I love and I use, and it's got the beautiful straps and things like that, which is great. It's getting really beaten up though.
Which brand would you say is your guilty secret?
I would say Gucci. I love buying good quality, but I find we can get really good quality here in the UK. I think our workmanship here is extraordinary. Normally you have to spend a bit more money to get something that you really want to have for a long time, and I absolutely hate this fast fashion. So if I'm going to go and buy a designer, it will have to be Gucci. I love Gucci. It's something that's been very kind of synonymous with having horses tied through it, also Hermes. But I love the snaffle bits.
Yeah.
I love the green and the red. There's always something in a Gucci collection that I love and adore, and so I bought my lovely Gucci jacket today, and it's just something that is kind of a little guilty.
And your view on the new era, so the Sabato era, how are you feeling about this? Because it's full 180 from Alessandro.
Yeah, it really is. It's very, very different. And as I said, there's always something, because you've got to have something classic in there. They can't go too crazy bonkers, and they can't detach from what their core clientele is. So I think that's really important, that there will always be something that I will like, even if they do go a bit crazy. And I think that's probably because you're dealing with such a juggernaut that you have old-fashioned people like myself or my mother that go there and have always been going there and would need to find something to suit those trends as well.
Yeah. We're going to spin on to some quick fire questions.
Oh gosh,
so
here we go.
What fashion advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Wear less kind of techno-inspired clothes.
Less fluoro.
Wear less fluoro and less fractal.
What fashion trend would you most like to see make a comeback?
I don't know. My favourite is back now, which is the trouser suit, the original Yves Saint Laurent trouser suits. I think, you did them beautifully, but I think they're really coming back now. But I was very lucky to wear, it got taken out of the museum, the original 1950s Yves Saint Laurent trouser suit, the first ever one he did. And I got to wear it for an event. And it was just amazing. There's something so powerful, and I've got shoulders anyway, but just getting those shoulders on and just, tapered in waist and is beautiful. But I think it's coming back. Not that it's ever gone, but it's something that I've just loved.
Last impulse buy?
Probably be that Gucci coat, maybe. I don't know. Every time I go to a farm shop, that's an impulse buy, and I buy the whole shop, and then you go, oh my God, it's so expensive.
Your views on tattoos?
Love them.
High end or high street?
Can I have both?
Yeah, you can have both.
Yeah, I want both.
Beauty treatment you couldn't give up?
I really like the LED stuff, because you can do it at home.
That's handy, because this episode is powered by Current Body.
You're joking. I love them.
Bling or bear?
God, I want to say both, because I like a bit of bling, but I love bear.
Couture or charity shop?
Couture, I have to, because I was just Mrs. Couture
You
for so
were
long.
Miss Couture, weren't you? Crocs, cute or puke?
Cute.
Sambas or gazelles?
Sambas.
Skinnies or boyfriends or wide legs?
Aren't boyfriends wide legs? Well, this is a wide leg boyfriend.
It's a wide leg boyfriend, I'll give you that.
I'm the most indecisive person.
Trilby or Tracy?
Tracy.
Bodycon or boho?
Boho.
Sports luxe or rock chick?
Sports luxe.
Red carpet or relax?
Relax.
Trend or style?
Style.
Colour or monochrome?
Colour.
Experimental or uniform?
More uniform, I should think.
Cashmere or cotton?
Cashmere.
Hoarder or editor?
Hoarder.
Yes, we know the answer to that. Charity shop or resale?
Charity shop.
Shapewear or lingerie?
Ooh, I go through different stages. It's difficult. I will say shapewear.
God, not that you need it. My God. Tights or stockings? Or hold-ups?
Tights.
Bikini or one piece?
Getting back into bikinis.
And finally, at the end of the day, what do you or don't you wear in bed?
I wear lovely, beautiful, kind of cottony, kaftani kind of things. What do you call them? Things.
Floaty
Nighties.
things.
They're floaties. Yeah,
Wonderful.
they're very, yes. I'm like Lady Macbeth. I'm walking the corridors.
Oh, I love that. Jodie, thank you so much for coming here today.
you.
You've been a brilliant guest and told all sorts of wonderful stories of your amazing life to date.
Bonkers.
I mean, I can't
bonkers.
wait to hear the next 50 chapters in Jodie Kidd.
Yeah, God knows what tomorrow will bring.
Well, good for you.
Thank you.
Thank you.